Hey buds, today we get heroic as we smoke two villainous strains.
We cover news stories ranging from Seth Rogen to Seth Rogen. Also, Seth Rogen with a little bit of Seth Rogen.
And an interview with Elizabeth Becker, owner and operator of High B&B.
All of this and more today on the Good Buds podcast.
Let's get wrecked like Metropolis at the end of Man of Steel.
Oh man, I love that movie.
I know, neck-snapping Superman is the best Superman.
Welcome to the Good Buds podcast, the show where good buds smoke good buds and talk about them. I'm Curtis,
I'm Shank.
and this is episode 29, airing Monday, March 22nd, 2021 on Spotify, YouTube, Anchor, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and many more. Out of those many more, that includes now iHeartRadio and Deezer. Deezer specifically thanks to a user from Reddit.
You Abyssal Fox Studios.
Thank you very much for letting us know Deezer existed, and we got on there just for you, bud.
Yeah, thank you for letting us know about it. Didn't know it existed before. Before we start, I'd like to thank Lumenspot and My High Shop for sponsoring this episode and all the other ones before this. Check the links in the description below, and we'll talk more about them later on. So, Curtis, how you doing today, brother?
Jake, I'm doing pretty well. Spring is sprung, spring is in the air. It's nice. Everything's in bloom, and not the Nirvana song because that
Yeah.
overrated, in my opinion.
The
Sorry.
birds and the missing bees.
Exactly. But no, it's pretty nice. I had a pretty good St. Patrick's Day, but it was interesting because I don't drink, so I just partook in the other form of green and just was happy to be where I am.
Yeah.
I mean, it's always a good week. But
Hell yeah.
Shank, how have you been?
Fantastic, man. Also, same dealio with St. Patty's. I mean, obviously, this year is going to be more reserved than any other year because of COVID. Thank you, people, for listening to the guidelines and staying the hell home. But yeah, I don't drink either, so I also partook of the green. Felt great. It's not feeling very springy yet, but hopefully we will get there as the weeks
Oh yeah.
progress.
Yeah,
Uh,
weather's been weird as hell, man, here too. Fucking 1 week it's snowing and like 2 days later it's 64 degrees Fahrenheit.
I know, man. That's the weirdest goddamn thing. Yeah, I know. You guys, it's weird because even though we are separated by some distance, we both get weird weather where we live. It's like, but I think everybody out there nowadays especially can relate to weird weather.
I think it's pretty much, yeah, I was about to say everyone north of a certain line, but then I realized Texas just got fucking snow blizzard.
Yeah, you're not wrong at all. You're not wrong at all. So anyway, before we get too far along into that, and before we get on with the show, I would love to remind all you folks at home to check out our Facebook, our Instagram, and our Twitter for some awesome behind-the-scenes content and really funny stuff that we post there regularly. We post pictures of the strains we'd be smoking, and everything else, as well as some really interesting stuff that goes into making the show that you guys love to enjoy. You can also jump on our Discord server. We have links below for that. You can get in some awesome conversation, shout out at us, share some memes with us. We would love it. Links will be downstairs.
Absolutely. We love to hear from you, and we would love it if you could join us anywhere there. But if you would like to donate to the show, help a little bit financially, make the show run a little bit better, and would like some special recognition, then you can join us on Patreon. We have a link downstairs where you can join that. We have several tiers you can choose from, including behind the scenes content, exclusive for Patreon, and the ability to listen in on the show live. Again, links are down below. If you join us, you can join our other fantastic, awesome patrons, such as Isaac. See, we
Yeah,
shout him out every week, and he's still the only guy who's donated. Just come on, bros.
yeah.
You don't have to, but fuck.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. Like, and even just hitting that like button, hitting that subscribe button, it really means a lot to us, and we really would appreciate any and every one of you out there, even just for listening to the show. Thanks for coming along for the ride, buds.
I mean, seriously, just get somewhere and comment at us. I mean, a guy did, and we just went on an entire website because of it.
Yeah, the reason we're on Deezer right now, if you are listening to this podcast on Deezer, you can thank you Abyssal Fox Studios from Reddit on one of the threads that I'd posted of ours. They commented saying, "Hey, I wish this was on the podcast service I use," and I immediately got us on there, like that day, that minute. So if you guys, or buds, if you buds out there are listening and you want
Yeah.
us on a certain service, let us know. Well, we'll probably jump on it, especially if it's free. I mean, if it's free, take two. But anyway, I think it'd be a good time to get into the reviews. What do you think, Curtis?
I think we should do that.
Hell yeah.
Good Buds Review, Good Bud.
All right, Curtis. So what are you burning on today?
Well, Shank, today I'm smoking on the vicious, villainous, and vicacious Violator.
Oh, that's a Spawn villain, Todd McFarlane style. I love it. One of my
I
favorite.
I just know it from my top drawer and my dot dresser drawer. But anyway, so the Violator is
Yeah.
an indica dominant strain.
Yep.
It is crossbred between Milana and Hindu Kush. It's originally bred by Barney's Farm, but has my strain. My strain is specifically comes from a private grower here in Detroit
Yeah.
who grew his own forms of them.
So the genotype is Milana and Hindu Kush, but the phenotype is that it was grown by a private grower. Different phenotype, same genotype, right?
Yes, Shank, you listened on the last podcast.
Yeah, thank you, Tamara. We're still using your advice.
So anyway, Violator is about 16% THC usually, so I'm not exactly sure how much this one is put at. But in terms of how it looks, it is a larger grade medium nug, like a little bit bigger. It has a natural, firm, dense, and crunchy outside exterior to it. It's pretty weird.
Hmm.
But it has a chartreuse outer bud, like kind of that lighter yellowish green hint to it.
Yeah.
But it has this very minty, like, outer vein, I guess you would call it. Kind of like the outer ridge line is like a very minty green. And it has darker inner stem with emerald underleaves. So, like, if you look at it from the underneath or if you crack the nug open, it's like a very deep emerald almost.
Nice.
All in all, it has some scruffy orange hair tufts that kind of just poke out. Some of them it's very little, some of them it's just the entire nug is covered in orange hair. Pretty interesting. And it has crystals that are spread throughout the entire nug, all the way down to the stem. They're on the inside, the outside. They did the hokey pokey and they turned themselves around.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
Got all coated in there.
Exactly. Now, in terms of the scent, ooh, ooh. Okay, so it's not a very strong scent, but it's kind of like patchouli. It kind of has like this patchouli incensey scent to it. A very natural, woodsy, floral scent. Like not extremely floral, but like you kind of get that little bit. It has very strong peppery hints to it too, and this slight herbal tone to it as well, which I guess the herbal is kind of the floral
Yeah.
that I'm smelling. Either way, it's kind of natural, and it's weirdly enough, I do smell a little bit of garlic in the background, but not entirely sure. That might just be me.
Yeah,
But
neat.
with all that, it sounds like a fantastic strain, and I can't wait to be smoking on some of that.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. Sounds delicious to me.
Absolutely. But Shank, why don't you let the people know what you are going to be taking on today?
Well, today I am going to be burning on some Slurricane.
Slurricane?
Yeah, I don't think it's actually a villain in a comic book, but if it was, I like to imagine that it's like it's like it brings on like storms.
Storms and blatant racism.
Yeah, storms and blatant racism. Like it's a hurricane that comes in and people are like, "Oh no, there's a hurricane coming in, batten down your doors," and then like racial slurs just start slamming into the building.
We're not picturing that anywhere, but anyway.
No, we're not drawing that out. We definitely aren't drawing that out. But anyway, it's honestly it's grown by Edison. This one is grown by Edison. It's a genotype of Do and Purple Punch. You smoked Purple Punch before on the podcast, I think.
I have. It was a
And
very fantastic strain.
Yeah, and I've been like dancing my way around it. I'm gonna see if I can get my hands on some of that here soon.
You need to actually do it. It's
I
pretty
know,
good.
right? I've done a bunch of other ones. I know I gotta get my hands on that one. But overall, these nugs are gorgeous. It's an indica, so I'm getting another indica in my system this time. But it's dark olive green with these like little pops of emerald throughout it. They've got accents of a really subtle purple too. Like when you look at them, like and it's got to be in like a certain light, but you look at them, they've got like almost like a deep kind of brownish purple. It's not the kind of purple that you look at them and you're like, whoa, like that's Instagram purple, Instagram filter purple. But you know, it's like it's nice to look at. Gives a bit of an accent. They're fluffy looking nugs, but they are really dense. They feel dense even though they look like they shouldn't be. And they've got little small flecks of orange hair over them. Nothing exciting, not like an ample amount or anything like the Wookiee strains that I've had in the past that you look at them and you practically hear coming out of the jar. But it's nice little flecks just to add some color. But the crystal is definitely something to speak of. It's very thick, very evenly coated. It almost looks like it was sprayed down with a powder coater. Like, you know, when they hit things with powder coat, how the paint's fucking perfectly
Right,
even.
right.
It's like that, but with crystal. It's just nice to look at.
Hmm.
No, yeah, it's so great. Now the smell. Oh, buddy, the smell. This right here is probably one of the best smelling strains I've had on the podcast yet. And I don't say that lightly because we've had some really great smelling strains on here. You buds at home probably know that if you've listened through all the previous episodes, and if you haven't, we'll wait while you catch up. Welcome back. All right, so this one though is chocolate and grape. Like if you had like grape soda, like not like real grapes, but like grape soda, like that sweet candied grape with chocolate. So it's like a weird combination. Like most people think chocolate and strawberries, but this has a very grapey and chocolate kind of scent, which is very, very nice. I love it. Could possibly be another berry, but frankly, the grape pops into my brain so strongly. That's just what I'm going with. It's really aromatically pleasing. It has a sweet and flavorful scent and it's like it's almost fun smelling. It smells like fun. It gives me that reminder, that feeling or vibe of a sweet summer treat. You know, like a nice pop, like an ice pop you'd get in the middle of summer. You'd go like fucking pick up like one of those novelty like ice pops with a chocolate eyeball.
I was about to say one of those or one of the ones that cut your mouth like the Joker.
Either one, either one. Like a grape flavored one of those with like, and you've just been drinking chocolate milk.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's really interesting. It's really, really interesting. It reminds me a lot of summer treats, and frankly, I'm really looking forward to trying this. Before we do try it, I'd like to remind you buds at home that pictures of these lovely, lovely nugs are floating behind us right now in the YouTube video that you could be watching if you click the YouTube link wherever you're listening to this, down below in the description. But if you don't feel like doing that right now, or you don't have time, check out our Instagram where Curtis and I will be posting beautiful pictures of these nugs for you to enjoy, and also cool behind the scenes content and stuff like that. So just
All the nugs from the episode will be on our
yeah.
main podcast page, Good Buds Podcast. You can also check me out there where I take some awesome bonged hits and show you some behind the scenes while I'm editing. I'm over at Good Buds Curtis.
Yeah, and I am over at Good Bud Shank, where I roll up some blunts and joints and just have my weird face on display for all you beautiful people to gawk at. Give us a follow while you're there on Good Buds, like Curtis said, Good Buds Podcast, Good Buds Curtis, Good Buds Shank. Hit that follow button. We post awesome stuff. We want to see what your awesome stuff is, and we'll probably follow you back because we're still small.
Exactly. And with all of that being said, speaking of small, I got a small little bong packed over here, Shank.
Yeah, I got a small little bong pack here, Curtis.
But we're lying. They're pretty decently
Yeah,
sized.
they're both over 2 feet.
And with all of that, grab your bongs, grab your blunts, your joints, grab your bowls, and use a hemp wick because using butane is bad for you.
That's right.
Grab your
We're still listening.
vaporizer, grab your edibles, grab whatever you want. Don't burn the edibles, but blaze it if you got it. Let's blaze it, bros. Toke shkaboke.
Joke spoke. Ooh. Hootie and the blowfish. Ooh, how Curtis, how's that treating you, brother?
Ooh. Okay, well. Okay, so that is a chilled and slightly musky flavor on that. By chilling, I mean, like, it just... it feels like the crystallization on that just kind of, like, lined the entire back of my throat. Very pungent
Like
to the back of the
Denty's gum.
throat.
It's like
Exactly,
chewing
and it
gum.
lingers for... I was chewing 5 gum. No. But no, it's pretty good. It's lingering in the back of the throat for a bit. The actual flavor itself was a slight bit of musky, and by that not really musky. It's more or less like...
Yeah, I think the ones at home know that we don't mean bad when we say musky.
No, but I don't even mean musky. What I mean by it is more like morning dew. It tastes like a very fresh morning, like moisture.
Like when you wake up from
as
camping.
opposed to waking up in a basement. It tastes like waking up from camping.
Nice.
But it's very nice, fresh. It does have some peppery backtones to it as well. definitely get mixed in there. And
Yeah.
weirdly enough, I do get a slight garlic aftertaste that I taste in there. I don't know if that's actually part of the strain or if I just really want Olive Garden right now.
Could be a little
But
bit of both.
regardless, it's nice natural flavors and not a whole big like chemical taste to it either. Like it
Nice.
did taste very natural, which I like.
Hmm.
But Shank, how about you tell the people how your Slurricane hit you?
Well, the Slurricane came in like a hurricane.
Did it rock you like one?
it rocked me like one, but it wasn't a rock me in a bad way. It was more like a hurricane where nothing gets broken. Like, if a hurricane just kind of blows through and it's not like one of those really strong ones, it's just enough to like whip up some warm wind and like, some like warm rain.
Get
And it
you out
just
of school for a week?
get you out of school for a couple days or something like that. And it's just all it does is like blow through and it doesn't destroy anything. It just rains a lot and it's warm rain and the wind is really heavy and people are like, oh, but it doesn't actually do anything. Like that.
I still
Um,
don't understand what you're going
No,
at, but
so what I'm getting at, I'll break it down. So what I'm getting at is when I took the toke, it felt really good on the way in and on the way out. It didn't really hit me bluntly at all. In fact, it was actually some of the more subtle smoke that I've actually tasted from any of the strains that I've had. But it still left me feeling like I had taken a nice big toke, even though the inhale and exhale was essentially not there. It still gave me that nice feeling of like having taken a huge toke, which is strange to see. It's like when you take a big hit and you watch a massive cloud float out of your mouth, and then you're like, huh, that's weird. Like, but the taste was amazing. It had this really sweet berry and chocolate that comes out in full flavor right up front, hits you in the mouth, tastes delicious like some kind of like breakfast cereal. Loved it. It's a really like kind of a subtle and smooth toke inhale and exhale, but it leaves you feeling very roughly, not rough, but like you've taken a huge hit. And it has a really weird, like slightly salty caramel note. Like how you're getting that Olive Garden garlic thing?
yeah,
I think I want saltwater taffy.
like that makes sense.
Yeah, it's weird.
It
It's like
doesn't, but it does.
I know it doesn't, but yeah, it's like I'm getting that kind of like really, really subtle. I feel like it's there, but it might not be, but I feel like it is caramel. That's like a salted caramel flavor in the back end, and it's weird, but I mean, honestly, I love the hell out of it. It's a great flavor. Yeah,
I
can't
mean
complain.
that. In all fairness, that's a weird opinion, but I think there's a couple
Yeah,
online that might be a little bit more
I
easy
agree.
to
Yeah, we should
read.
we should look into that. I think. Yeah, because mine was a little convoluted, so maybe yeah, look into those.
Let's go into it. But as always, these are the online opinions of other stoners online, and we are other stoners online giving our opinions to the online.
Opinions.
Absolutely. Now, as for this Violator, surprisingly, even though it sounds like a very vicious strain, apparently the effects are slightly more relaxed than you would think. It's relaxed, happy, euphoric, and sleepy. It's very good for pain, insomnia, and stress.
Hmm.
It has some side effects of dry mouth, dry eyes, and a slight amount of dizziness has been reported in a couple cases.
Oh, good thing you're sitting down.
Good thing well, actually, not that good that I'm sitting down because it says it's not for the faint of heart, which even though I am, it does say it will couch lock. I've already had a couple puffs and we got the rest of this episode to go, so I might be here for a while.
Yeah, that's all right. We'll drag ourselves through it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But overall, it looks like it's being a very good strain, and I've also found out that the main terpene present in this strain is myrcene, which is giving it that very strong peppery flavor, and also gives a lot of the healing and insomnia treating effects.
Nice.
I should say. So sleepiness would be a
Yeah,
better term
the
for it.
drowsiness, yeah. Yeah, no,
Exactly.
that's awesome, man. Sounds like a great strain. Sounds like people
Absolutely.
online like it.
And what is it saying about your strain, Shank?
Well, people online are saying very similar things. They're saying it's, really relaxed, euphoric, kind of like happy strain. It's definitely a sleepy one. Several people online all warned about its couch locking capabilities. So it's one of those things where I'll have to keep that and be mindful of that. Luckily, as a stoner, I'm always prepared for the dry mouth that it also comes along with because I have an energy drink sitting right here that I will be imbibing to make sure that I do not fall asleep and I do not get the driest of mouths. So,
And I have a little bit of water here because I already finished all my coffee. But with that
yeah,
being said, we also learned another thing from our previous interview, and that is we're going to clear our palates real quick.
Mm-hmm.
This we didn't learn from her, but this we're just doing
We're
before
just
we do.
throwing this in there. Added touch. Any
That bong hit.
any ASMR
Oh, yeah.
moments we can get in there.
And now, from our interview with Tamara Lillian, she said that professional sommeliers will take their joint and they will dry hit it a couple times, get the flavor on their lips, taste it on their lips, and get a good profile from that. So we're now going to do that before we light these up, but I have a joint right here, Shank.
I have a joint right here, Curtis.
Well, let us do a couple dry hits right now. Let you bros know how that is. Let you buds know how it is.
You know what? I am getting a bit of flavor from that. Now, I mean, it's very, very subtle.
Right.
It's like in the back of my mouth there. It's very subtle, but I do get
even though it's light, it's the pure, I mean, the flavor. You're not getting any of the butane, the burning, the chemical reaction. It's just what the plant tastes like itself.
Yeah, and it's nice. It's more earthy. It's more grassy than.
Exactly. I'm getting a lot more of the grassy and a lot more of that naturally patchouli scent that I was getting when I was smelling it, as opposed to when I was tasting it through the bong.
Yeah, I didn't look it up, but I wouldn't be surprised if this was high in like terpenolines or something like that. But
oh yeah, but
I don't know about you, but I think that's enough dry puffs for now.
I agree to that, and I also agree that it is 420 somewhere. So if you got it, smoke it, because we have our joints. Grab your joints, blunts, bongs, bowls, but with a hemp wick. Grab your vaporizers, grab your edibles if they're already baked, but if not, let's get baked ourselves. Let us blaze it, buds.
Let's do it. Ooh, man.
All right.
Okay, I like that. This is it's one of those ninja strains, Curtis. It's a ninja strain. When I hit it, I breathe it in, I don't feel anything. I breathe it out.
It kills you on the way out?
I breathe it out, I don't feel anything, right? But after it's out of my mouth, the burn kind of starts to settle in. So I don't even know it was there until it's already gone.
Interesting. Like you breathe in, breathe out, and then your neck is slit.
That's what I'm saying. Like I just took a huge hit, like a big hit. Like I didn't take a small puff there. Exhale, nice big cloud of smoke. And there's there's the burn. What the hell? It's like eating a hot pepper, man. It's like when you eat a hot pepper and you eat it and you're like, that ain't shit. And then 2 seconds later you're like,
now that I'm smoking it out of a joint, I'm getting a lot less of that back the throat lingering kind of crystally flavor, but I'm getting a lot more of like roof of the mouth, kind of going to the cerebral type of set. Either way, it's still more of a lighter and more natural flavor coming from the joint.
Yeah, this is magnificent.
As opposed to the I'm getting a slight bit of pepper, but not as much as I was out of the bong. And like I said, definitely not as much of that crystally clean feeling going through the entire bong. But again, it doesn't taste like chemical.
No, man, I'm still getting that grape and chocolate. Like, I mean, the toffee's like pretty much gone. The saltwater toffee's pretty much gone, but I'm getting massive that flavor of chocolate, like very chocolatey and very like grape. And it's interesting, man. It's really cool. I like this strain a lot. Like it's so weird that like because you've tried the purple punch before, right? Which is the other.
Right.
And I want to get my hands on Dosito. I've read about Dosito before in the past. A lot of people say good things. I haven't tried it, I don't think. I mean, I may have in the past, but it was as an unnamed strain or as a fake name or some shit.
Yeah, I don't think we've smoked it for the podcast, but I'm fairly familiar that I've smoked it before in my life.
Yeah. And I'd like to get my hands on that one as well, because I'm going to try to like look at the parent strains of some of the strains that I've smoked in the past episodes and try to revisit those episodes by kind of going to the parent strains. Because there's still several roads we haven't gone down, but with this one,
I mean, if we want to, we can go all the way back to land races and stuff.
I know, right? But... And so it's one of those things where, like, the flavor of this is magnificent, and it's like, it's one of those things that it reminds me of last week's episode where we were both smoking ice cream sandwich, or ice cream cake. Sorry, ice cream cake. But it reminds me of that, how like, there were subtle differences, but the flavor profile was very similar. Like the flavor profile was almost like spot on. Like, but there were like subtle visual differences and stuff like that, and obviously they were grown under different conditions. But
Of
like,
course.
it makes you wonder that like this Slurricane and the Violator that you've got, like it makes you like, it just makes you wonder like about like who out there is gonna someday grow the good bud strain.
I mean, us when we figure out what strains we want to put in it.
Oh, I
Your
know
favorite
exactly what
strain
I,
plus
yeah, I was
my
gonna say, yeah. We
your
can cross our
favorite strain
favorites.
plus my exactly. If it's not already a strain, it's the good bud strain. Bam,
Hell yeah.
shabam. Bob's your
Hell
uncle.
yeah.
Easy
Bob's
as
your uncle.
fuck.
Actually, you know what? I may or may not know some people who may or may not know some things about crossbreeding some flowers, so I may or may not have a conversation with them about may or may not finding a way to do that and crossbreeding those strains, and then when Curtis comes to Canada, we may or may not burn some of that.
We'll see what happens.
We'll
But
see what happens.
regardless, I think I obvious or since we also learned we kind of want to keep our papers now more or less standard, so that way we have a
Baseline.
consistency baseline around the other ones. So we'll, for our main one, when we're reviewing it for you guys, I'm now going to be smoking out of Zigzag Orange Pack, and Shank will, as always, be smoking out of his.
OCB, please sponsor me. Yeah, I love OCBs. I'm always burning out of them
Oh
every
yeah.
week. But yeah,
So
no, it's and yeah, so we'll be. It's
we
good
might
to have
do
a
some
baseline.
we
Yeah,
might do some fancy ones or some different ones, as depending on what happens. But for
yeah.
the
If we
most
want to
part, we will
if we
always
want
be
to
smoking
celebrate, we
those
might.
as a baseline.
Yeah, if we want to celebrate, we might, and we'll always have the joint that's just got the base paper, baseline paper for the flavor profiles and for just the initial lighting. But
As
we'll
best we
have a
can, try to get unbleached ones, stuff like that. So we are getting as much flavor as we can from just the
yeah.
shit.
Yeah,
But
absolutely. No, Curtis is right because like what he's saying is, because like we wanted, like we were speaking with our awesome guest, our fantastic guest last week, Tamara, and she's a professional. She does what we do, but on a way more professional level. And she kind of, like it's like we realized that for you buds, we would like to be as not, we're still gonna be loose, still fun, still professional, but we want to be as consistent as we can be, so that you buds, when you're listening to us,
you're
like
still
you know
learning,
what
and
you're
we
gonna get.
still want to give as much knowledge as we can.
Yeah, never stop changing. Like so actually I was on Reddit the other day, where I, spoke with the person who got us on Deezer. And I was on there and someone was asking for his advice on podcasts and everything. And that's one of the things, like one of the pieces, literally the only piece of advice that I could give, because we aren't super, super experienced, but it's that week after week continue to grow and continue to figure things out and tweak things, like don't
Right.
don't just settle on your first idea format. Like if you find something you can improve on, do it. Or if your audience is like, hey buds, you should try this out, we'll listen. It's
Exactly.
grow.
Accept user feedback and grow and understand. Sometimes you do have to take a step back and understand, you know what, maybe that wasn't the best idea. Maybe that wasn't our solid move. So maybe we cut it for now, change it around, and maybe we can apply it later, or maybe it just doesn't work with the format right now. I mean,
Absolutely. Don't be afraid to
uh,
tweak yourself.
exactly. I mean, I'm not throwing us under the bus because we have our own reasons for it, but we used to do, what is it? Good Bud's Ghost Cast,
Yeah.
which was an every week thing where we did ghost stories. But it kind of fell by the wayside because
Yep.
of certain issues with behind the scenes stuff. So
Yep.
won't get into it too much.
And
But
now if you buds want that back, comment down below.
if you let us know,
If
and
you
we'll
buds
bring it
let us
back,
know, well, we will gladly bring that back.
100%.
Absolutely. Just let us know in the
But
let us know down in the comments
but
below.
anyway, so yeah, you let us know, we'll bring it back. Uh, the thing is, the fact that uh we had something, we didn't exactly have it working at the time. We figured we can bring it back at a different point in time when we have better resources to tackle that objective.
Tweak it and
And
refine it.
right now we're even trying with new shows, which you got to check out our YouTube, guys. You got to check it out and subscribe there because we have new episodes of Shank Reacts, which is
Hmm.
Shank checking out some funny ass YouTube videos, giving his
Yeah, just
reaction there if you like checking those kind of things out.
comment anywhere to let me know shit that you want me to listen to or watch. I'll jump right on it.
But you gotta check out our YouTube video to watch that because
Yeah,
it's exclusive there. And
obviously.
also exclusive there is our new show that's coming out. Well, actually, it'll be out by this time. It's called WTFIT question mark, which stands for What the fuck is that? New show
That's
with me and
right.
our bud Isaac. Fucking
You
hilarious. Check it out.
you
It's
buds
pretty
have
raunchy.
no idea how fucking awesome this show is going to be. Like I like luckily because I'm behind the scenes, I got to see it before all of you buds. And if you haven't seen it already, like go right now to YouTube, watch that video, and the like. I'm not gonna say like completely raw, unfiltered, because there is a small amount of filtering, but it's mostly unfiltered, amazing content. You guys, you buds need to check it out. Isaac
Absolutely.
finally gets a speaking role aside from just screaming from the background. I even gave him a huge budget to design a set. So
Yeah, you guys need to check it out.
like huge budget. You gotta
He
check it out.
managed pretty well with it.
Like yeah, he did
Um,
great.
but
But no,
anyway,
yeah,
yeah,
like
it's
yeah,
very
so
interesting.
that'll be awesome. And yeah, like so
You
we have
gotta
all
grow, you have to
grow.
change, and this
Yeah,
is
and have
something we're trying out. We want to hear
yeah,
back from you guys, so you guys can let us know. Is it something
yeah,
you like? Do you want us to do something different? Do you want
yeah,
us to bring
buds.
back the Ghost Cast? Because,
Yeah,
fuck
buds, give
you.
us some yeah, buds, give us some feedback, buds. Give us some feedback. But I mean, it's yeah, and it's one of those awesome things that fucking like it's like we can do all kinds of different things and the different weed strains like it's like you've got like the names are getting ridiculous like yours is like you don't know like you're so like Violator because of the thing in your top drawer, but I'm a huge Todd McFarlane fan, right? Like Spawn is awesome, like one of my favorite comic series of all time. Violator is one of the main villains in that and he's a fantastic character. Um but basically like we've got like you've got like weird names for weed strains. Like you got like like green crack and like pineapple express. Like these names are just like weird.
Oh yeah.
you
So,
know, it's like
well,
absolutely strange.
that was tangential.
Yeah, that was a little bit tangential. I don't even know where I was going with that.
Exactly. But before we get any further, I do want to say I did check out vape shop that I mentioned in our last episode, Inline Vape. Pretty cool guys. Went there, and that's where I got my new pack of papers. I suggest you guys check them out. Fucking, they're gonna be letting us put some stuff in their window, giving us some business cards, and they were just some pretty cool people. So if you're in the area, they're in New Haven, 26 Mile Road. Check them out,
Check them
Michigan.
out.
Uh, but sorry for that small little bit of product placement for them.
No, it's
They
cool.
don't even
Support
sponsor
local.
us.
Hashtag
Exactly.
support local.
We just support local, and they don't even sponsor us.
They're not
But
even local
speaking
to
of,
me, but honestly, I fully support them and hope they do nothing but succeed.
exactly. But speaking of people who do sponsor us, we're gonna run a quick little advertisement for you guys.
Do you like fashionable and unique clothing? Do you like things that shine super bright when exposed to light? Do you like discounts? Do you like advertisements that ask, "Do you like?" over and over, knowing there is no direct way for you to answer back? If you answered yes to all of these questions, or even just the first three, check out lumenspot.com for some lit clothing and accessories, and use the code GoodBudsPodcast at the checkout for 50% off and free shipping. Thank you, Lumenspot, for sponsoring us, and thank all of you for listening. Check it out today with the link below in the description.
Man, I love Lumen Spot. Lumen Spot is
Lumen, they're
they
they're
just
clothes, they're lit.
they just light up my day, like fucking watching goddamn Sausage Party.
I know, right? No, Sausage Party is a friggin' fantastic movie, dude. And like, like I was mentioning before, Pineapple Express, shit, that was oh man, my brain tangented. I tangented without even knowing why I tangented it.
Exactly. Oh, fuck.
What the hell, man?
Yeah. Wow, a lot of Seth Rogen. And you know
Yeah, a
what?
lot of stuff.
We have a lot of Seth Rogen in the news today. So you know what? Fuck
Yeah,
it.
fuck it.
I think it's time for some weed news. Seth Rogen. So, buds, today we start off with an amazing story for all of our American listeners out there, at least. For the Canadians, it's probably no news to you already that Seth Rogen has his own cannabis company,
Mm-hmm.
and it is finally coming to America.
Yay! Congrats, American buddies.
Exactly. Uh, Seth Rogen's plan has been in the works for a long time now. The obvious famous stoner actor, comedian, writer, producer, whatever the fuck else he does. He's a big name.
He's all over the
Uh,
board, man.
well, now he's had his hand in the ring in terms of cannabis production,
Mm-hmm.
and now a dream that's been almost 10 years in the making for him has finally come to fruition. And on top of that, he is now releasing in America with legalization, of course, sweeping the nation.
That's magnificent, man. Like honestly, like it's like I know that he's been talking about it. I've heard it mentioned for a long time now. That like I know in Canada we've known about it. Like you said, it's not news
Yeah,
up here that he's had a strain.
of course.
And I don't know if I've been lucky enough to get my hands on. I don't know
Well,
specifically. I may have.
it's name. Well, the name of Seth Rogen's cannabis company is Houseplant. So if it's Houseplant,
You know what?
uh,
Actually, I have had houseplant sativa. So
then
I have indeed had. Like it's actually called just houseplant sativa. That's all. Like it's not fancy named or anything. It's houseplant sativa, and I've had it, and it was actually phenomenal. So I
I mean,
haven't
if that
reviewed it
was
yet on the
grown by
podcast, but
if
I
it
will
was
be.
grown by fucking Houseplant, then yeah, that was Seth
Yeah,
Rogen's strain. If it
awesome. I
was just
haven't.
called
Yeah,
Houseplant Sativa, then maybe different. But
yeah. No,
regardless,
no. The brand is houseplant. The
okay,
this type
then
is. Yeah, no, that's magnificent. Like I'll have
anyway,
to try that on the podcast. That's cool.
so yeah, Seth Rogen, who absolutely everyone loves, we all love him. Uh, he's bringing his company to America. Going to be absolutely fantastic to be able to get a hold of his strains in dispensaries. I mean, we love celebrities that induce or endorse cannabis. It's absolutely fantastic, and it's always great to see higher up people supporting legalization and
Yeah, yeah, 100%,
investing
man.
into these businesses.
Like yeah, it can't. It's getting better and better. The industry is growing week after week. But the funny thing about when he launched in America, actually, he launched his website, right?
Oh yes, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm a
and
oh, I
that
assume.
that directly leads into my Seth Rogen story.
Oh boy,
Um,
what do you got for us?
so so Seth Rogen launched his cannabis lifestyle website, as he likes to call it, which is a great name for it because that's exactly what it is. And very shortly after it launched, it immediately crashed because the servers were overloaded by people like inundating it. It's on Reddit they call it the hug of death. Like if somebody posts something on Reddit and they're like, "Hey guys, check this out," and it gets like 100,000 upvotes or something like that, and everybody's clicking on the link, a lot of the time the website will go down. Like if it's an indie game website, they'll
Yeah,
launch it and then like they'll only think like 30, 40 people a day are going to go on their website, and then they've got like 10,000 people coming all at once and their server crashes, right? And then the website goes down. And Reddit calls it the hug of death. And so his website essentially got the hug of death. He released his website, he put it up there, and he said he was quoted as saying on Twitter, "Well, we've underestimated you once again. Due to insane traffic, we took the houseplant site down temporarily while I learn how to write code. I'm very sorry if you've been waiting. There's still a lot of products available. I will let you know as soon as it's up again." And
right. So
so
people wanted Seth Rogen's weed so much that it broke
they
his website.
wanted Seth Rogen's cannabis so badly that it broke the internet for
That's
at least
funny.
his website, and it was like, and it's just really funny because they released the thing, like he responded to some users who were having issues by saying, "Hi, we're experiencing a tremendous amount of traffic right now. Thank you. We have a nice little waiting room set up on the website to manage this." So they had a waiting room set up you could go into, and it would eventually let you through to the actual site.
Right.
To manage this, if you're having trouble accessing the waiting room, please try refreshing your browser or clearing your cache. Thank you. Yay! And um, so basically, yeah, they took the site down. They had to because it got hugged to death.
Of course, of course.
Yeah. It was,
Well, actually, funny enough, I'm on Twitter right now. Sorry,
oh,
you were
hey,
kind of
cool.
boring me, so I got on my phone. But
Hey, that was cool,
according to
man.
Seth Rogen's,
I'm
no,
surprised you weren't on Switch again.
according to Seth Rogen's Twitter, I fixed it. Happy to say houseplant.com is back up and running. We still have a
Hey.
waiting room set up to deal with traffic. Head there now to shop, explore our house goods, and other things on our website. So you guys are now free to go open to houseplant.com. Check out Seth Rogen's new cannabis website and his new strain if you're here in America. If you're in Canada, it's probably already available to you, and just go check him out. We fucking
Yeah,
love Seth Rogen. We love him
absolutely.
so much, we gave him the entire news segment, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. That's not you're not wrong. And but you know one of the things I'm sure he did do while he was waiting for his site to get back up and everything, while he was waiting for the techies to finish clacking their keyboards, aside from responding to his fans, he also was tweeting at the Zodiac Killer, aka Kevin from The Office,
Um,
aka Texas Congressman Ted Cruz.
Oh God, what chili pot got stirred this time?
Oh man, he was stirring that chili pot. So basically, this is from a little bit ago, but it's still a fantastic story of Seth Rogen being an online internet badass on Twitter. Basically, when the Paris Climate Accord was going through and Biden was all like, yes, because duh, climate change bad, doing stuff good. Anyway, he decided to tweet, that is Ted Cruz decided to tweet that the Paris climate agreement was stupid and that it was going to hurt Americans because that's the go-to line that is going to hurt Americans, even though every projection says it's going to create jobs in America for Americans. So go green. Awesome. But anyway, that political shit aside, Ted Cruz posted that, said, hey, this is going to be bad for Americans. And being ever so eloquent, after Mark Ruffalo refuted that, Mark Ruffalo commented on it saying you're wrong, and a Pittsburgh official commented and also said, Ted Cruz, you're incorrect, and factually pointed out why. Our beautiful Seth Rogen swept in on his magic carpet of weed and said, fuck off, you fascist.
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
I know, and that's the one that got Ted Cruz all riled up, too. He fucking ended up tweeting back and forth for him for a little while. Essentially...
A whole bunch of political shit probably from there.
But it was funny as hell because at one point there was another long-winded thing, basically complaining about Seth Rogen not being in a union. He's actually in 3 unions. So it's really funny. But you want to check that out, go to the link down in the description. You can check it out yourself. But it was really funny because ultimately Ted Cruz got his ass roasted, and the go-to line for it, it was funny as shit, dude. It was so
All
good.
of our news stories will be down in the description below for you guys, so you can check it out for yourselves there.
Yeah, it is. You can go more into detail with that because it's funny as hell.
Other things that you should probably check out, and other things that Seth Rogen's probably been working on, he has a new book that's coming out.
Yeah, I think I remember somewhere hearing about that. What's the deal with that?
So, Seth Rogen has a book coming out that's called Yearbook by Seth Rogen. So I'm currently reading from an excerpt that's on his website right now. So if you want to check it out, the link for that is also down in the description. It's called yearbookthebook.com.
That's
pretty fucking hilarious.
Awesome URL name.
So, what is Yearbook? Hi, I'm Seth. I was asked to describe my book Yearbook for the inside flap, which is a gross phrase, and for websites and shit like that. So, here it goes. Yearbook is a collection of true stories that I desperately hope are just funny at worst and life-changingly amazing at best. I understand that it's likely the former, which is a fancy book way of saying the first one.
Awesome.
And then, he goes on to say that he talks about his grandparents doing stand-up, fucking bar mitzvahs, Jewish summer camps, whole bunch of different stories from his teen years and childhood, growing up, all that shit.
Yeah, no, that's magnificent. That sounds like it's going to be a really, interesting book, man.
Absolutely. And like I said, this is written specifically from, Seth Rogen, actor, writer, producer, director, entrepreneur, philanthropist, smoker.
I wonder if he'll write out the Seth Rogen laugh. If he'll write that out in the book, if it'll be like, ugh, 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 ugh.
I'm not entirely sure, but...
but yeah, no, but it's he might type it out in the book and do an automatopoeia for it or something like that.
Have it in Braille.
Yeah,
or as a waveform.
Yeah, so you can just rub your nail across it and it goes.
But apparently the book comes out May 1st, I believe. You can find it at Amazon, Barnes
11th.
and Nobles. May 11th? May 11th, my bad. Sorry,
yeah.
One extra one on there.
Yeah, there's another one.
So Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, again, Books A Million, Bookshop.org, all these other places. Wherever the fuck you want to find it, they're everywhere. Go check it out. Seth Rogen Yearbook. I don't even read it. I kind of want it just because the cover looks interesting.
Yeah, no, that's really awesome. And honestly, like I said, dude knows how to tell a story. Every time I've ever heard him telling a story, he's pretty engaging, and he's really he knows how to tell an entertaining yarn. If you're listening to him, you're okay, I'll let this guy, say his piece and hear him out.
I'm sure he has some great stories from fucking shit that he's done.
Oh man, actually, that leads directly into our final news story of the evening about Seth Rogen.
Oh, yes.
This news story is about something interesting that he's done, and it involves Walter White himself.
Oh God, Heisenberg.
That's right, Heisenberg. Yeah, but no, this essentially what it was is he was at the Golden Globes and he had an edible lollipop. He had a sucker that was an edible, and he was sucking on it for the entire ceremony. Which, I mean, I don't know about the televised part, but live they run pretty long.
Yeah.
So basically, for the entire ceremony, he was sucking on this THC, it's edible lollipop, and he remembers as he was saying, and I quote, "This thing is fucking me up pretty good." Is what he thought during the ceremony. So the ceremony ended, and he went to an after party, and he was like, just kind of got there, and he thought he was cool. You know when you're high as fuck, and
Yeah.
you're very clearly high as fuck, but
Oh,
you
yeah.
but you think you're pulling it off. You're kind of like, yeah, man, nobody
Like
knows.
right now.
Like right now, yeah, exactly, just like right now. And so like he was like, yeah, man, I'm pulling it off. Nobody knows and stuff like that. So he ran into Bryan Cranston, who obviously, like as the folks at home know, played Heisenberg on the show, Breaking Bad.
Walter White.
Yeah, Walter White, on the show Breaking Bad. And he ran into Bryan Cranston, who he doesn't know, but he like tangentially knows.
He's met him in passing.
Yeah, exactly. They've met each other. They've been at the same parties. They said hi to each other. They know each other to see each other, but not like, no, they don't hang out. So basically, he went up to Bryan Cranston and he thought he was spectacularly high, but he was thinking to himself, at least I look and am acting totally normal.
Of course.
So he goes up to Cranston, and Cranston looks at him, and the first thing he said is, "Are you okay?" Which is an alarm, which as Seth Rogen says, and I fully agree, is an alarming question to be asked when you already think you're okay. Like if you think you're good, and someone's
if you think you're good, and someone's like, "Are you okay?" That immediately makes you not good.
Especially when they look at you with that slight look of concern. Like it goes along with the whole like, "Are you okay?" Like "Are you okay?" Like that kind of like, "Do you need to sit down?" kind of look, right? When they're like, "Well, like I thought I was okay." Right?
Like no joke, that shit actually happened to me. I'm sorry to go on a little tangent here.
No, please do.
Fucking, that happened to me a couple months ago at a fucking Dollar General. I still remember it because it was a pretty attractive female who was working there.
Yeah.
And I go up, I give her my money for the fucking thing, and I guess I like twitched my arm slightly, and she's like, "Oh my God, you're shaking." I'm like, "What? What? I'm not shaking. What? I'm high as fuck." I'm like,
and you're like, "Wait, was I shaking?"
And I start shaking like,
and then you're shaking because you thought you were shaking.
No, I'm like, "No, I'm stable." As my hand is shaking, I'm like, "Fuck! Give me my change, bitch!"
I know, like, why you have to say something? That's like, it's like if someone's not mad, and you go up to them and you're like, "What's wrong?" And they're like, "Nothing," and you're like, "What's wrong?" "Nothing," and you keep asking them what's wrong. Eventually,
I'm not mad.
Eventually, you asking what's wrong is what's wrong. It's like,
I'm not mad.
But yeah, no,
I am not mad. I swear to fucking God, I'm not mad. Shut up.
Mad. Shut the fuck. Yeah, exactly right. But he thought he was fine until Walter White, a man who's like as he puts it, that guy's seen some things. If I was alarming to Walter White, I must have been fucked. So
that makes sense.
Yeah. So his response to Cranston, his response was with no words of a reply. He didn't say anything. When Bryan Cranston said, "Are you okay?" without saying a word, he turned around, walked out of the hotel and the show that he was in. He got into his car and he went home. He said, and I quote, "If you're asking me, the answer is no, I'm not okay. I'm getting the fuck out of here." Just like we should do with weed news worldwide for this week. I think that is a great way to wrap up that last story.
I absolutely agree. It's been fantastic here on the news segment.
Oh, loved it. So before we get into the next section of the show, I would like to jump into the next ad spot for another one of our beautiful sponsors.
Hey buds, you really want to show off your love of marijuana, or just really shine at your next smoke session? You really want to go to myhighshop.com for some of the coolest cannabis clothing and accessories. They have shirts, sweats, jewelry, grinders, and even pipes made out of amethyst crystals. You can check them out using the link below and let them know I sent you by using code GoodBudsCurtis at checkout. You can save 35% off your entire order and free shipping. Again, that's code GoodBudsCurtis at checkout. Thank you to myhighshop.com. and let's get back to the show.
Oh yeah, myhighshop.com. I love them. They've got some friggin' like that quartz pipe you've got. I'm still jelly. I gotta get one.
You definitely do,
Immediately.
and I need to get some more t-shirts because the one I have from them is comfy as fuck.
Oh yeah.
It always feels so good on my skin. Speaking of which, Shank, how are you feeling?
Man, I am feeling magnificent. I definitely feel the couch locky properties of this trying to get me in, like, to sink into my chair, but I am resisting it with every fiber of my being, aided and fortified by the beautiful power of Red Bull. Not only does it give you wings, it also makes you have to pee a lot, and it makes you stay awake when you smoke indicas if they're sleepy couch lock strains like this one is. But the feeling is great. I'm very uplifted, very happy. It's well rounded. I don't feel like my eyes aren't heavy, even though I've got that couch locky feeling. I don't feel like I'm fighting to keep my eyelids open at all. But
Yeah,
it's pretty good strain overall. I enjoy how it's treated me. I have a bit of dry mouth, but again, beverage is right there. I've been taking periodic sips of it. But no munchies to speak of so far. How about your strain, man? How's it treating you? How's Violator treating you?
It's not violating me too bad. I mean, I am having similar, effects as you. Only difference is, rather than you not succumbing to it because of energy drinks, I am succumbing to it because I just bought a comfy chair.
Oh
So it
yeah,
doesn't matter to me. I can just be
no,
here for a little bit. Probably
that's
sleep
true.
here. But regardless,
Yeah,
I'm doing pretty well. I'm getting definitely a relaxed vibe. I'm definitely nice, little euphoria, little energized, but definitely definitely sitting here for a little bit.
oh, for sure, man, for sure. But luckily, like you were saying, you did buy a comfy chair, and I went out and I bought a comfy chair as well. Like it's important, like we always say, be prepared, right? I think that's probably part of our preparation is making sure that we've got comfortable seating, lots of snackage, lots of beverage, lots of fire and everything like that, and we always have bongs packed nearby, looking fantastic. Like
Right.
we're always prepared.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yep.
But I think we are getting to the point of the episode where it is time for us to run into
The
a
interview, interview. That's getting more fucked up every time. I love it. Hey Buzz, here we are in the interview segment. Today we are joined by Elizabeth Becker, the co-founder and powerhouse behind High B&B and all around a fantastic human being. Thank you so much for joining us today. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great and better now for your company. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's
absolutely
wonderful.
wonderful to have you. Wonderful to have you. So we're gonna start off with our first question that we always ask here. Elizabeth, do you partake in cannabis, either smoking, vaping, edibles, anything of the sorts?
Yes, I do. And I don't have to be afraid to admit that now because we are legal. And I don't have to be
Absolutely.
ashamed of it, right? And I don't have
No.
to hide it. And I can proudly say yes.
Proudly say it.
Yes,
Yeah.
Yes.
absolutely. We are cannabis users. We're cannabis smokers. We love the ganj.
It's true. Big fans. Big fan of this
Absolutely.
cannabis. So
Absolutely.
yeah, so obviously that'll lead us into our other first thing that we like to do, eh, Curtis?
We like to all share a bong toke. Well, at least me and Shake share a bong toke. Elizabeth, what are you going to be smoking for us today?
I'm smoking some tangerine. What product is it? It's a little vape pen.
Tangerine
It's one of
Dream.
my favorite. Yeah, Tangerine Dream.
Ooh.
I
Nice,
don't.
man.
I want to avoid potential spoilers, but that is one of my favorite one of my favorite strains as well. I gotta say, yeah, one of my favorite strains.
In a vape pen.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, if everybody at home has their respectable cannabis receptacle packed, then I think it is time to blaze it, shall we?
Yeah.
Oak skaboke.
Mm.
Ooh.
Once again, this week I'm
Sweet.
smoking that Slurricane.
And I am smoking Violator, which are
That's right.
very, very villainous sounding names, but
Yeah, we
still love
defeated
them.
we defeated some villainous strains this week on the podcast, so this is pretty great.
Absolutely. So Elizabeth, our first question is obviously you have a business that we are all very interested in. Tell us a little bit about High B&B.
Well, High B&B is a place and a tool that people can use to bring the cannabis community together and to celebrate everything cannabis and to make money. So it's similar to Airbnb, where people can list accommodations that include cannabis. Like you can leave cannabis for your guests. That's the best thing, right? If an American is coming to Canada, they can book Airbnb, and then the cannabis will be waiting for them when they check into their accommodation. So it's a place for like the everyday people to make money. And sometimes people traveling, they want to go to a place that they know is cannabis friendly, that they're not going to get kicked out, or just that they're hanging like in and around and supporting cool people and like-minded people. So we have
absolutely.
Yeah, sorry, I'm passionate about this.
No, we love it.
We
please,
love it.
Go on.
Go nuts.
The passion is so nice to hear, right? I love passionate business people, especially in the cannabis community. So, like that's magnificent. And actually, I think just before the podcast, Curtis, you were mentioning something about when you mentioned getting kicked out, people getting kicked out for everything.
Yeah,
you mentioned something, I think.
We were actually just talking about a story that we found on Reddit about this guy who was basically completely freaking out because he's been using Airbnb for so many years. He had all these good reviews, but he smoked or he vaped marijuana in a Airbnb this one time, got removed from the property. He was freaking out because he was so worried about, smoking marijuana.
Is this going to make it so he can never rent Airbnb again? Or
right. So I think that's very nice that we have, this opportunity of a business that allows us to not have to worry about that, not have to filter it out, because every place would have some form of accessibility.
Yeah, like if that host had written a bad review for that guest and said they smoked cannabis, and they wouldn't, like, that could blacklist that guest, because you can't erase reviews. So
absolutely.
Yep. And customers don't really have a chance to go on and refute the reviews most of the time either. Like a customer can go on and leave a review, and the business owner could probably go on and like refute that, be like, listen, we have security tape of you doing those things to the statue we asked you not to do, and that kind of thing, right? But if the owner says straight up to the company, this is a bad customer, then the company is going to be like, okay, we're not going to let them continue using the service.
Yeah, the problem is there's so many people who are like intolerant to cannabis, right? Like there's just a hard line, and there's this hatred or something, like there's an intolerance, right? It can't stand you, and that's
it
makes it challenging for us.
It's insane that it's still that much. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a plant. Obviously, we know it's more at that point, but the science of it is fascinating.
It's the work of reefer madness propaganda still, right? Because a lot of people still kind of have that ingrained in their head, the whole, cannabis will make you a criminal, cannabis makes you lazy, cannabis will do all of these negative things, cannabis will ruin your life, gateway drug, and it's not right, it's not correct, and it's education, like, right, needs to be done to fix that. And I'm sure you guys help with that, like at High B&B, you probably provide some information too, right?
Yeah, we do provide some information, but I just want to go back to what you were talking about, because that's really what we want to do, is change the attitudes around cannabis. Like I actually did one podcast. She was interviewing me, and she explained that when she was in the States, in one of the southern states, and when she was growing up, her mother told her, like, that's bad. That's as bad as the devil. Don't you dare do that.
I jokingly call it the devil's lettuce sometimes, but it's purely ironic.
Yeah, there's just like this immoral sense. There's just something wrong that she can't shake. It's just something that she was brought up with.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, and when you're taught that as a child, it's hard to break out of the cycle as an adult.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
It is.
My mother raised me to be open-minded, thankfully.
Oh yeah.
So rather than just being a place where you can smoke cannabis and you won't get kicked out, we also want to do, like what you're talking about, is changing the stigma, right? So in some places they might not want to have people smoking, and then they can leave some edibles or a beverage, and suddenly we're opening up the market to people. It's like, this is an activity that you can do for fun. It's like a getaway.
I'm looking at the website right now, and I specifically see this one that just looks amazing, and I want to go right now if it wasn't for COVID restrictions, because it would cost me an extra $2,500. But
if you guys donate to our Patreon, we might be able to afford that. Links in the description.
But this place is amazing. There's arcade machines everywhere, nicely lit. The people seem very friendly, very nicely done and everything. And the only thing they ask is that you smoke marijuana or you smoke cannabis outside. I gotta change that.
Yeah, it's okay. We're learning though. We spoke with Tamara Lillian last week on the podcast, and she did teach us that there is a lot of, especially in you know, in a lot of more professional circles, marijuana is a no-no word. It's a negative connotation, very much associated with Harry Anslinger, and nobody wants to be associated with Harry Anslinger. I'm
Oh,
pretty
no.
sure not even Harry Anslinger wants to be associated with Harry Anslinger. But basically, so yeah, so
Anyway.
so we try to use cannabis. We're learning. We try to use
learning.
cannabis and
But-
ganja or whatever. Pot.
Cannabis is the new marijuana.
I
Yeah,
love it.
that's right. It's like orange is the new black, except cool.
Green is the new orange is the new black. Speaking of which, happy St. Patty's Day.
Oh, happy St. Patty's Day! Yeah.
Patty's Day.
So it's, anyway, this was a fantastic place that looks like $250 a night, which you kind of already answered the question a little bit earlier. How easy is it for me as an American to use this service? Do I have to go through any sort of special paperwork, or as long as I'm over 21, I'm good to go?
Yeah, well, in the province where you come to, you only have to be over 19. Most of our provinces are 19. Quebec is 21. and I
Quebec's
think
always
Alberta
gotta be
is
different.
18.
Quebec always has to be different.
Yeah.
I love them. I love Quebec. It's a beautiful province. The people there are amazing people, but man, their government loves to be different just by a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. Well, they're French, right? They're really
Yeah,
they're
business
very
regulations are
artistic and
hard.
they're passionate.
Oh, it is.
They have the best squeaky cheese. Yeah.
But you have to speak French when you go there. You're like, you have to try.
Oh yeah, but once they hear your accent though, they switch to fluent English, right? That's what I love
Yeah.
about Quebec, because you go into a restaurant and you're like bonjour, salut, and they're like, oh, English, hi, how are you? But you have to try with the French first. If you go in with English, they'll just be like, quoi?
Right, yeah. And then they'll give you a hard time.
They'll give you a hard time. But if you go in and you attempt the French, they'll be like, oh, it's okay, hi, like, what do you need today? It's like, but you gotta try the French first.
It's a showing of respect, right?
Absolutely.
I'm learning so much today.
Yeah, Curtis doesn't know a lot. He only knows about our Canadian
I know a little.
customs through me. So he knows
I
about
know Quebec is weird, but
yeah, he knows about the weekly moose races. I told him about that, and like that we usually have 1 or 2 pet penguins per household, but aside from that, he's in the dark. Yeah. But no, that's good that Curtis. So because Curtis does plan on obviously coming to Canada and seeing
Right.
beautiful country. So he'll just have to stick with provincial regulations when he comes here for high B&B. Like no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
right.
And
Absolutely.
then you can get the cannabis in different ways. Like this woman who put on the one that you're looking at, there's a cannabis retail store just around the corner from her.
Oh,
So I don't know if she wrote that in the description, but that's why. And we're also partnering with some retail stores, and we want to create it so that if you go on the site, you could just order your cannabis and it can get shipped to the place. So when you get there,
yes, because they're doing drop off at a lot of places now, aren't they? They're
Yeah.
doing contactless drop off, which is so safe and smart. I mean, obviously, as long as they go through the proper channels to sell it, because but and so I think that's fantastic. So
I see you have a couple.
Yeah.
brands already available. Thumbs Up, Bliss, Wink.
Yeah.
nice.
Very nice
That's
selections.
awesome. That's awesome.
But yeah, it's
Yeah,
very
so
nice.
it really comes down to the integration, right? So I've been working really hard on building this site. It's taken over a year, and we're still constantly building it. We're working right now to put in some insurance, automatic insurance, property insurance for the house for property damage.
We were
Yeah.
actually just reading up on that as well. You guys have a partnership with Superhog. You guys just announced on Twitter, I
Yeah,
believe.
super hard. Yeah, super hard.
Yeah, no, that's exciting. Like that's a pretty big step for especially something like the hospitality business, right? That's like a big boost, isn't it, for you?
It's a big win. Like that's
Yeah.
a big step because there's no barrier to entry for the host, which is great. And it just gives everybody way more confidence. We're partnering with this team in Europe, and they're sort of helping to consult us as to how to grow for the short-term market. They're also helping us to build it's like an automatic channel, so the big property management companies can just automatically transfer their listings to us.
See, that's
Instead of having
brilliant.
to make like one listing each, like every time you have to open a listing on the website, it happens automatically. So that'll be also a game changer for us.
That's really smart. Like obviously, like making it so that as many steps of the process are automated and streamlined. It's one of the and as more laws change, like as legalization pops up more and more, like you're gonna be able to go full bore, like, as since it's a mostly digital service, right? You know, I mean, you do have some management and everything else that's like physical, but it's mostly digital. You'll be able to expand fairly quickly as legalization pops up different places, right?
Well, that's the idea. It's scalable. Like we're doing laying all the foundation now, but we can go in any country. All they have to do is legalize. And so that the consultant is going to help us to grow into Europe, especially when it legalizes. And we're planning on moving into the United States later this year.
Very nice, very
So
nice.
we just want to be built and say, you know, I want to make sure that we can handle the volume when it comes. So we're just trying to keep that in mind.
Yeah, we actually one of our news stories covered controlling volume. We spoke about this week. We did a little bit of a comedy news segment where we talked about Seth Rogen, just for the entire
Seth
time,
Rogen.
just for fun because we think he's funny. But one of the stories was that he released a new website and the website crashed because of traffic, because they just basically it blew up overnight and his servers went down. He had to take the site down, and there's a whole thing. But I think Curtis had a question there. I just had to mention that really quick. But Curtis, I think had a question.
So obviously expanding into the American market once a legalization happens, and with you going into Europe as well, do you think that there will be any sort of hiccups when it comes to tourism there? We know that Amsterdam has been talking about possibly banning cannabis tourism for a little bit, but not entirely sure. They're still up in the air. Again, they usually do every couple of years. But do you think this will have any sort of effect?
Well, if they ban it in a certain country, we just make it so that that country is not selectable on our site.
Super easy,
exactly.
super quick.
You go into the site build matrix. You just go to that checkbox and you just remove the option.
And that's how easy it is to grow, right? But
Now,
there's marketing involved.
Technology works like that?
Wow.
Are you still learning?
Still learning.
We've learned so much from our guests on this podcast. It's amazing. Like, we learn every interview, and it's amazing. Like, we love it.
Like, we like the reading and everything like that. We always try to keep up on news stories and what's going on in terms of legalization and what's going on in terms of the community. And obviously having new guests on is definitely expanding our horizons as we get to talk to more and more people.
Yeah,
but
we're interactive learners.
I mean, other than this podcast, I do have a normal 9-to-5 job, and I've been doing that for so many years. It's so boring now. I like coming in and learning new stuff and trying to expand my knowledge. Even if it's as simple as, yes, you turn that country off on a fucking website. I love it.
Yeah, but touching on the legalization, you said you were going to expand down to the United States. I know that's probably going to be a really complex process. You're probably working with like a lot of people, like, you know, and like there's like it's really strange with the American system how the federally, like, they're working on that. Curtis and I have been very closely covering that they're working on federal legalization very closely. There are so many people right now pushing for it, and influential people are getting behind it, so there's a lot of hope. But where it's still illegal on a federal level, but it's legal on a state level, like, what kind of hiccups do you think, like, you may have to deal with?
Well, we have to make sure that we're abiding by all of the laws on a state level, and each state has different laws. So that makes it a bit complicated, you know. So we're going to have to, as we ramp up, we're going to have to sort of look at them one by one. But that's one side of it. On the other side of it, I keep feeling like, well, why don't we just uncheck that box, and whoever wants to, sign up.
Yeah. Well, absolutely. Like, you're right.
There is that. Do we just do it? Do we rain chaos?
Yeah, just like free for all. Just go free for all style.
You know what? That's how I want. That is how I want to do it. I feel like bring it on. I can handle it.
I'm really hopeful for you. Like, I'm gonna be like paying. I mean, even like long after this episode's done, I'm gonna be paying close attention to your business, because we all know, like, I'm sure you're well aware as well, that legalization on a federal level in the States is a real thing. It's coming.
Yeah.
Like, it's like the naysayers can't really do a whole lot at this point to push back, because literally everyone who understands money and numbers, even tangentially, understands it's a good idea. So basically, like, we know it's coming, right? So I'm very hopeful for your business as that happens, because I can only imagine how fast you'll be able to expand. It'll be one of those you'll have to keep up kind of situations.
Well, I hope so. That's what I'm planning.
Yeah.
Is just to try to, be open enough and adapt where it's needed. And because it's a changing industry. It's a brand new industry.
Well, isn't
And
that
for
how High
sure,
B&B grew? Like same idea, like just slow, and big.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so, a little bit more into personal. Did you work in hospitality before you started High and B&B? Or did
No,
you? No?
no.
What were you doing beforehand?
I was writing and directing in kids' TV.
Ooh,
That is awesome. I watch a lot of kids TV, so
I was a kid at one point, so
no, I'm a 30-some-year-old man. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, even when my son's not around, kids entertainment is entertaining. It's
if you
built to
ever
be
gotten
Yeah,
high
entertaining.
and watched Dora, it's amazing.
Yeah. She
but
asks a
I
lot of
was never
questions
really
though.
satisfied. I was never satisfied with TV because I always wanted to have a voice. Like that's why I was attracted to it, is that I wanted to say something, and I found it was the best medium and so strong that it could relay a message, or and to help make the world a better place. That's all I've ever wanted to do. And just frustrated that the films that are getting made are the commercial films, right? And they have nothing to do with making the world a better place, and that's hard to live with. And then I felt like it was a bit of a feeling of failure with myself, because I knew that I wanted to do something, but it was just unattainable in the choices that I had made. So it took some, I feel very, very lucky that I was able to transition from where I was feeling unfulfilled, and then, follow my instinct, frankly, which a lot of that has to do with cannabis and the connection that I have through cannabis. Right.
Yeah.
So follow my instinct, which opened the doors and led me to this great opportunity, which and I had this initial feeling like, oh my gosh, this is so much fun. I don't
Yeah.
care whatever happens. So I'm having so much fun. That's all that matters. Right. And I wake up out of bed every day and run to work. It's like, I can grow this. And wow, it's all coming together.
And
Absolutely.
absolutely, I know exactly how you feel about that, because Curtis and I think
I
feel
love the
yeah,
energy, by the way. I love
me
it.
too. Yeah, love it. But like Curtis and I feel the same way, because like Curtis said, he has a 9 to 5 job, like he works, like and everything else. And I work as well. I work from home, but I work as well, like regularly. And but this podcast is something that we really love, and we were just kind of like, why don't we do it, man? Like we talked about it a lot. We had back and forth conversations about it, and we kind of like half-heartedly mentioned it as something that we liked or that had an idea to do. And we were like, why don't we just do it? And like the first 4 episodes, nobody listened, but we loved it. We loved every single moment of making it and editing it and promoting it
Our,
on social media. Like,
our main point of it was just do what me and Shank normally do, which is get 2 strains of really, really dank weed,
yeah,
smell them, and tell people what we think, and then
yeah,
smoke them, and then tell people what we think of that.
casual
And
cannabis
from there,
connoisseurs.
and now we have interviews with
Like
co-founders
influential
of
people
High
like
B and
you.
B.
Yeah, well,
That's
now
very.
now we get to have interviews with like influential people like yourself, and
We get
educators
to
like you
learn a
and
lot
I.
more. We get to be educated. It's
Yeah,
fantastic.
interesting and engaging people, which we didn't have the first season. We didn't have an interview section, and it was something that we desperately wanted to add for the second season, and we wanted to like engage our audience, because of wonderful people listening at home right now, and like we wanted to ourselves as well, because talking to each other we could talk for days, but
We're
but
not
we
gaining any new information
yeah,
unless we
but
didn't know it.
yeah, we're echoing essentially in that case. But when we speak to someone like yourself who's passionate and knows what they're talking about, and I'm sure like your experience in writing and directing and everything else with that helped you in your endeavors with High B and B. So you have a lot of information we don't have any remote access to, and it's not like I can go to a school and specifically be like, teach me what Elizabeth knows, because it can't do that. Your experiences have led you to this, and it's leading to High B&B's growth, right? So, like, I think that's admirable. Like, that's an admirable
Absolutely.
trait. I just like this is, I guess, a complimentary section of the interview. Now I'm going to
Complimentary
take
So
tangent.
much. No, I'll
complimentary
take it.
tangent. Complimentary tangent. But like I know that essentially with your previous, with your High B&B and stuff like that. Now, obviously, I know that you take this is off the tangent now that we're back on track. With your, obviously you're probably not involved in the down to earth nitty gritty day to day unless you have to be kind of situation, because you got a lot of things to take care of. But fully keeping in mind and in regards that we know that propriety and everything is important, and we cannot give any like information away. Have you had any like celebrities go to the High B&Bs yet? Like any like like not, and again keeping privacy in mind, you can be like Yes, no, that would be fine. You don't need to elaborate, but just wondering.
Jackie Childs is going to be soon.
Ooh,
What? No, Jackie Childs, that's awesome.
hell yeah.
That's magnificent. Oh, and hopefully you get a big shout out on like all the socials.
Yeah,
Can you imagine? Like, oh, book this through High B&B, some nice like glamour shots,
yeah,
those,
that's it. That's
those
what we're
selfie
hoping for.
angles. Yeah, like we've been learning actually about that's the biggest thing I think the biggest steepest learning curve for me and I don't know about Curtis, he's probably a little bit better versed in it, but the social media aspect and the marketing and online advertising and all of that. And it's the strange enough the pushback against advertising. For some reason, people online seem to be like, "Why would you advertise your business? You can grow through grassroots methods." And it's like, if you said that to Adidas, they would laugh you out
I
of the room.
smoke grassroots methods.
Yeah, I see. Exactly. So I'm like, to grow a business, you need to do a little bit of both. So you've obviously done your networking and your advertising and stuff like that. Because I will admit, I have like heard like whispers of High B&B on the internet, and I've never like Google searched it. I've never looked up like an Airbnb. I don't travel a lot, so
Especially in the last year and a half.
especially
Mask
especially
up,
in the
social
last
distance.
especially
Right.
last little especially the last little bit, but even without having searched it out, I think I've tangentially heard of like your company as it was growing, like so I'm sure online is important, we all know that, but what kind of people have you met in person that have helped you to network? Because you said cannabis like has helped you, and I know that you had in one of your other interviews with a very influential magazine. I believe you said that you had an incident where you'd gotten too high at a
Oh, God.
at an
Yeah.
incident. We won't go into details with that too much, but you had gotten a little bit too high. We've talked about that in the past. We all have been there, and you've dialed it back a little bit. But obviously, you still imbibe and you still enjoy what you're doing, right? You still gotta like partake. I mean, why would you? You just don't know your limits, like Curtis and I always say.
Moderation.
Yeah, moderation.
I
But
was
no.
at a conference. I was so excited to be at the conference. And it was like my first time out with High B&B. I was
Yeah.
talking to the LPs and I just really wanted to build relationships. So I just want to go out and smoke a joint with them, right?
Yeah.
That's the best
Oh,
way
yeah.
to get
And
to
then
know
and that's the
them.
problem is because you go and you shake one hand and that person's like, oh, do you want to smoke a joint? So you're like, sure, and then you go smoke a joint with them, and then you go back in and you shake another hand and that person's like, oh, do you want to go smoke a joint? And you're like, yeah, sure.
It's
See,
like
and that's the one problem I see with me and Shank when we go to our first conference or convention or whatever as the good buds. I'm gonna be just walking around with my gas mask bong on, and I'm just gonna be so goddamn high. I
Yeah.
won't remember anybody
That's
I
okay.
meet.
I'll
I'll have to go off of like business cards like
Yeah.
Memento.
I'll do most of the talking for us, but I know that it's really funny because I would be like, I don't know if you've ever seen the show Family Guy, but there's a bit in that with I think was it Tom Woods? Is it Woods? What's his name? But either way, Woods is the last name. But either way, he goes, ooh, piece of candy, ooh, piece of candy, ooh, piece of candy, and he just keeps going and picking up the pieces of candy as he walks. It would be like that with Curtis in cannabis. He'd be walking down through the aisles like, ooh, piece of cannabis, ooh, piece of cannabis, ooh, piece of cannabis, and he would just like, I would lose him. I'd turn around for a second. He'd be on the other side of the room smoking weed with like
Anyway,
five or
Well,
six
I
people.
got lost. I had to stop working at some point. I went to the place where they had like the stage
Mhm.
where you could sit down and they had all these different speakers coming up and I just sat there. I made friends with the person next to me and I learned all about terpenes. I
Focused
didn't
on
get
breathing.
anything on there.
perfect.
That's fantastic. So I mean that's great though. But like, have you like are there any like like who are some of the influential people that you've met going to these events, and like are there any people off the top of your head who, in regards to your business, have been like one of the biggest boons? Like meeting them was to your business what Leonardo da Vinci meeting a paintbrush was. Like like it's one of those things where you work together
DiCaprio,
so
Shank.
well. Oh, yeah, sorry, Leonardo DiCaprio.
Well, I can't say. I mean, there's Reverend Kelly Addison has
Mhm.
made a big impact. She was one of the first people on advertising her lounge, and she was always so giving and gave me whatever art I needed, and was very patient. And then at some point, we even hooked up, and she's always been such a big cheerleader behind High B&B, and remains to this day. She's contributed a lot of energy and relationships. I don't know if she's a celebrity, but
Well, no, that doesn't need to be a
Well,
celebrity. No, just people in
Just
general. I just mean
important.
just important people, because like for us, like Curtis and I from the beginning of the show, our best friend, like Isaac, he's helped us behind the scenes, like without being like front and center. Actually, until recently, Curtis and him are doing.
We have a new show, but
I love
uh,
goofy.
Is he
check that out.
famous?
Not at all, no. But he's going to be someday. This man deserves it.
I'll tell you the most famous person in the cannabis industry that I've
Oh,
come.
please do.
It would be Steve D'Angelo.
Really?
D'Angelo.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, that's well, I was pitching him on this for a long time, even like a long time ago. I smoked a joint with him at one party and sent it to him.
That's magnificent.
Yeah, he's been aware of it for a while, but we just put together this series called Meet the Founders,
Oh,
where myself and my co-founder Kelly get together and we interview different people. It's like a pre-recorded show, and so one of our guest speakers was Steve D'Angelo, and we talked about the history of where the stigmatization started, right?
yeah.
And that reefer madness craze.
I know. Actually, I've had a fun time remixing that. I do music and stuff like that. I remixed the audio tracks from Reefer Madness and stuff, and do a couple funny, really goofy songs that actually are pro cannabis. Like instead of being like, don't smoke cannabis, it just removes the don't, so it just tells you to smoke cannabis. And it's magnificent, right? And so like Reefer Madness is like that whole Harry Anslinger saga. I mean, if you're in our audience, like listening right now, you've probably read about Harry Anslinger, and if you haven't, look it up and like point
Know
that.
the person that you're hating.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
like,
I have to jump in here. Please, you should listen to what Steve D'Angelo has to say about it. It's so interesting, so intriguing. I learned so much from him.
Yeah.
Go to our YouTube page at Experience High B&B.
Yes.
And if you subscribe, we don't have a lot of subscribers yet, but if you subscribe, then you'll know we've got 2 series coming out. Ask Our Expert is where a cannabis expert answers different questions about cannabis every week.
Good Buds Review.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
But no, that's and I'm going to subscribe right now. I'm literally
Thank
literally
you.
subscribing to you as we speak.
Same.
But actually, and there will definitely be links below to all of Elizabeth's links down below in the description. Her socials, like if you have an Instagram, I assume. Like every business does now. So like we'll have all of her links down below in the description, and I hope all you buds at home click every single one of them and like do that subscribe, follow, like say comment on one of them and be like the good buds sent us, and like just let her know.
We need your help because we have to show like that's how you measure things, and we're looking
Spread
for
the
more and
knowledge.
more raising money because it's not cheap what we're trying to do.
No.
And High B&B is a big machine. It's eating a lot of money very fast in order to be able to sustain this growth. So we're looking for investors, and we've got to show traction to investors. So we need support.
No, absolutely.
Absolutely.
And I hope, like, I honestly hope, like, if there is anyone, I know that there are some people who listen to the podcast. Actually, it's funny. I've communicated with some of our audience and stuff like that, and there are some people who are pretty influential people that listen to the podcast. So if you're out there listening in internet land right now, and you click on Elizabeth's link down below for High B&B, you reach out in that contact panel or whatever and be like, angel investor much? ? Just and once again say the good buds sent us. And straight up, like that'd be fantastic.
You don't have to be extremely cryptic with it. Just
don't be all just be a little half cryptic. Be like, but no, that'd be fantastic, and I hope that you do, because it's one of those businesses that Curtis and I fully support cannabis industry. And growth from especially people that are passionate, like I said earlier in the podcast.
This is especially a business that I can get behind because when travel does open back up, I would love to have, not be standing out of a Super 8 motel, smoking weed by a bush somewhere.
Yeah. And
guys, I've got to tell you that we do more than accommodations.
Yeah. Oh,
we also you guys do events, right?
Yeah, take a look. Will you walk us through what you see on the site there? It's under, like, when you get there, it says play high, stay high, or get high. And then there's these carousels.
Yep.
You can see adventures.
By the way, I absolutely 100% love your site UI. Whoever your web designer is, I would like you to, next time you see them, I was going to say give them a high five, but COVID, give them an air high five. Just be like, air high five.
Check out the website, guys.
He's very talented.
The UI is amazing. Like, I mean, I'm not
it's
like
extremely easy to use.
I'm
here.
Yeah.
I can say right now, there's a terpenes tour where you can come and learn about science behind some of your favorite aromas.
Fancy.
That's going to be in British Columbia.
There's a belly dance class.
There's a belly dance class.
Curtis
I am extremely interested.
He's already a professional. He'll go there.
There's a class on like how to make bubble hash.
I've seen that one. There's also a 60-foot waterfall hike and cooked meal in Nova Scotia, and that sounds amazing.
Hey, maybe you can stay there.
It's
when
by
you come
5
visit me.
Islands.
Yeah,
That's an
so
event, Shank.
Isn't
Yeah.
that exciting? Like this is what I
Absolutely.
love, that all these people can bring up their great ideas. Like our motto is share what you love, right? And there's so much love in cannabis, right? And it's just so nice to see the community come in and offer these really incredible experiences that
Yeah,
don't cost
no.
that much money. It totally changes the way that we can
Well, no,
Right.
like Curtis was saying that even that beautiful property that he was like, that was up before, with that one, that was extremely reasonable for a place that isn't an apartment, like it's like I've gone to other cities. I as a musician when I was a little bit younger, I did some tours. And I know that hotels, some of them in certain big cities like Toronto or BC or like bigger cities, charge an obscene amount of money for a single night stay.
yeah.
But you said it was 200. He's 200 something dollars for
$250 a night, and you get arcade machines
like
in your
for
room,
And a
not
ping
only
and a ping pong table.
I know
and a
for
ping pong table,
so
and a pool table.
for not
It's
only a
amazing.
moderate level of privacy, but also an experience. You get a different experience, and I know that some people like. I know that there's been some pushback against Airbnb and stuff, and people are like, "Oh, buying houses and renting." It's like, no, it's wonderful because it's like one of those things where I think the real estate market is a very fluid market. It always has been. And when a new trend pops up that works, it sticks. And the Airbnb model is a very good model for real estate. It makes sense because it covers most of the overhead. And if you have extras, like you've included, like you've got events, you've got other things that are extra revenue streams, like it'll help you be successful. And it's an important thing for tourism because as a Canadian, and you're a Canadian as well, Curtis. He's like an honorary Canadian. He's might as well be
I'm
my
close
brother.
enough.
Close enough. He's close enough to the border anyway.
I have one of
But
those enhanced license, so I can drive up there if I wanted to. Again,
yeah.
it's just the COVID restrictions.
Yeah, yeah, but so it's one of those things where like we want people to come see how beautiful Canada is. And what better way to do that than to show up to the place you're staying at, walk in the door, see arcade machines chilling in the corner and a bag of weed on the table. Like I can't picture a better way. All I get when I walk into a hotel is a freaking chocolate mint on the bed. I don't even
I
like
mean,
chocolate mints.
the only thing I can see that would be better if there was a, fresh bottle of maple syrup right there, but I'm pretty sure I can get that right down the road.
Yeah, or a motion sensor that automatically started cooking bacon when I walked in the door. I mean,
Either
but no,
or.
but
Yeah,
no,
that's the way to travel.
yeah, no, it's fantastic. So when Curtis, I didn't
Shank,
even know
write that
Curtis.
down so you can be a host.
Oh my God, yes. Oh, I'm gonna buy a house and I'm gonna just rent it out. But it's gonna be so great. But what I think is fantastic. So like Curtis, you're on the site still, right?
Oh, yes.
Check for places in Nova Scotia that you can stay when you can come visit here because he is coming here. Actually, it's funny.
Halifax, Nova Scotia, 1896 historic studio with a tree view.
Oh, beautiful, perfect.
$60 a night. Mini fridge directly by the bed.
Can you believe how obscenely low that price point is?
That with an outdoor balcony.
Oh my goodness,
I-
people listening at home, like check
Shank,
this
I'm
out.
not even staying with you. I'm staying with this
No,
guy.
that's what I said. No, dude, I already told you. My house is very small and slightly uncomfortable, and everything is covered in dog hair. So if you go in rent like get that place, and honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I might come stay with you there.
There's a queen size bed we can share.
You just rent it out. Well, you need to have the mandatory quarantine when you get here, right? Which is good, smart, makes sense. We adhere to that and approve of that. So you get here, you just quarantine yourself. $60 a night. That's extremely
That's
reasonable. If you
cheap.
did that in a hotel, $14, like 14 nights
Oh,
at a hotel for like 100 and something bucks a night, like you're
That's
That's
not manageable.
no.
no. This is
Breaking the bank.
crazy. And the other thing is, these prices are Canadian, correct?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
yeah, I assume so.
So that's even cheaper for me as an American.
Okay, and one more thing. Is she gonna share weed with you? Does it say there whether she's sharing or not? If you scroll down.
Let's see.
Oh.
Host is not providing cannabis yet, but I am welcome to bring my own.
We can easily get it. I know a couple locations. The ones I'm really hoping Nova Scotia smartens up a little bit because the NSLC locations that they have are too spread out. They really need to like work on that. And I understand it takes time and it takes infrastructure, but they need more cannabis options.
But you can have it delivered before you get
That's true.
there. It
Yeah.
depends
yeah.
what province you're in and what the rules are, but
Yeah, Nova Scotia has
in Nova
delivery
Scotia, yeah, so we'll just order online and have it shipped to the place where you're going. Your host can accept it from the postman for you.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, that'd be fantastic.
Very nice.
Smart.
And there's
See,
a toaster
and
oven.
that's why we need people like Elizabeth on the show because she tells us about that kind of. Oh, see, do they have an air fryer?
It doesn't matter. I can make pizza rolls in the toaster
You
oven.
can make do with a toaster
It's
oven.
right next to the bed too.
Yeah, you can.
I don't
Oh,
even have to
geez.
get up.
You're golden, man. You don't have to. Yeah, you're golden. See, and this is the kind of stuff that only cannabis users would think of. Like I always say it. I say it all the time. There is no one more creative than a cannabis user in certain situations, and one of them is that a lot of the time you get outside of the box thinkers. Like you get people who like they'll essentially they'll be like sitting in a room smoking cannabis and they'll say I have the munchies. And they'll be like looking at a table that's beside their bed that has nothing on it currently and go, "Why don't I have a toaster oven right there?" And they go and get a toaster oven and they put it there. And then after that, every day following, they're like, not once in any situation in my life where I've done that myself, at least, have I looked at it like days later or even weeks later or months later and been like, yeah, that was a bad idea. I'm always like, that was substantially more convenient, right? So, like,
I still have my air fryer right next to my bed.
Absolutely, and a mini fridge in the bedroom, like like it's like having a mini fridge in your bedroom, so you don't need to leave the room for like a beverage or whatever, or like Tostino's pizza rolls. Not
I feel like cannabis does that for me. It puts me in touch with like my higher being or like my intelligence, a deeper sense of knowledge, right? And so in that situation, you looked over and thought, oh, my life would be better if there was this there, and you could see it. The cannabis showed you that, right?
Yeah,
absolutely.
It helped,
and it allows for better activity in different parts because it's not constructed by a whole bunch of stuff.
Not obstructed by
I put it where
anxiety.
I need. Exactly, I put where I need what I need where I need it.
Yeah. And that's the path I followed building high B&B.
And that's super smart.
You got to put something where it's needed, and this was a need that was definitely needed.
And you were saying that like it like where you used to do writing and directing, in like for children's programming, like. Well, first and foremost, just to go back to that, as a Canadian, anything that I would know?
No. If you were a young girl, maybe you would.
Hey! You
don't know what I'm into.
You don't know what I'm into.
Have you heard of The Next Step?
Nope.
No, I'm not, unfortunately. But you know what? I'll look it up and I'll check it out because I'm certain that the writing and the directing is probably wonderful.
The writing is terrific on it.
That's what I'm saying, right?
Too. Yeah, no, it's about these. It's like a fake reality show. So it's the dance troops that get in a fight with each other and start kicking each other out, but they always dance at the end of the episode.
Like Total Drama Island and Bring It On combined.
Oh my god, it's already been brought in.
Like they're training for the competitions, and then they fall in love with each other, and when like girls cross, like teenage soap opera.
I love that. That's magnificent. No, that's great. But like obviously cannabis helped you kind of like it's a totally opposite industry, like going from children's programming to cannabis powerhouse, right? So it's like it's a different thing, but I'm sure there's a lot of similarities in that wheelhouse. So so have you found that you're like your ability to direct, because I know that I've done really amateur productions. I know Curtis has also done some amateur productions, like live like video stuff and everything else, and we direct our like video ads and everything else that we do. But I know that helps with managing things. And have you found that plus the cannabis, like the directing from the pre embracing the full on cannabis force days, and the directing from the pre days plus your high B&B, like it helps you to get your business directed?
I understand what you're saying. Like there's been a number of things that have been affected. The directing is one of them. With directing, I'm used to coming up with a concept and then putting that concept down to try to communicate it to the people to help me build it, right? So there's the script that speaks to the audience, it's public facing, and then you've got to raise the money. You have to do it with schedules and budgets. You have to hire different people. Some are technical positions, some are creative people, and work with all the different teams to bring it all together for one singular vision.
Yeah, and I know that actually I remember reading that you learned an important lesson about that when it came to your website. Wasn't it that like you had had an issue where you went to launch and unfortunately what you got wasn't necessarily what you had in mind, like, so like you probably like learned from like I remember reading, did we do a little bit of research here, folks? Come on now, we're not that lazy.
If it isn't
But
obvious.
but essentially I remember reading that like essentially that was a learning experience for you, right? So like it's so that probably taught you to embrace more that director mindset where you tell the person what you expect out of them. Like you go to each individual and you're like, hey, listen, during this take, I need you to do this. Like this is what I have up here. You need to make it happen out here, right? And like, and you tell them. Sometimes you can let them go. Like if you know them as an, like for example with Curtis in the videos, I know him by now. Like, and I'm like hands off with the videos. He asks me for advice sometimes, but most of the time I'm just like, do your thing, man. Make it beautiful, and he does because I can trust him on it. But if it was like someone new who I didn't know, I would probably, give them more specific instructions, right? So you probably flip that on in that situation, right?
Well, yeah, that you've really hit it on the head on the nail, or whatever the
Yeah.
saying is.
Yeah.
So
I hit an object with another object.
I mean, yeah, it's like you make an assumption that this person knows what they're talking about.
Yep.
That's basically what it is. So you start to do business, and then being Canadian, I'm extra polite, and
Yeah.
I've actually had to change a lot over the course of building this, because I can't be that way anymore, right? Like I have to, if it's going to hurt somebody's feelings because I don't just assume that they get it,
Yeah.
then I can't have that
No.
dictating the progress of where we're going. So
Yeah.
I
And you
have to
understand, I'm
sample
sure.
those a little bit.
And I'm sure after a certain point you'd understand calculated risk too, right? Like you'd be like, okay, well this person here, they're relatively new. I've seen some of their work before, so like I can't afford the time to micromanage them right now. But based on just that, like every now and then you can be like judgment call it. Use your own, obviously your knowledge base is probably growing as you grow, just like ours is as we grow.
Always.
Our knowledge base is growing. So I'm sure that like sometimes you'll make that judgment call on the fly where you're like, listen, like I'm trusting you with this. This is what I need. Like, please do it. Like, just this is what I need. I can't
No,
focus on you.
I can never do that again. I can
No.
never say, I'm trusting you. This is what I need. Please do it.
Yeah.
I can't do that. Like, well, the relationship that you guys have is ideal, right? When you do trust somebody, and
Yeah.
it's just a relaxed kind of working relationship.
Yeah.
And that's what you want to build, because that's sustainable. And so that's definitely, and when the way that those things come together, it's almost like somebody sees what you're trying to do and tries to fit in the cracks on how to help out, or,
Yeah.
something.
Right.
It's just,
Yeah.
it turns into a relaxed, it just happens, which is
Absolutely.
great. But some people, they're just dialing it in, right? I
Yep.
mean,
For sure.
Yeah,
and you
and-
have to say, okay, well, you check on them. Okay, well, did you do this? And sometimes
Yeah.
they say yes, but they didn't. And so I have to be more
And
careful. about
yeah,
my
well, especially your
communication.
website, you learned that was probably not only like a stressful lesson just from being like, are you joking? Like kind of like just the pure frustration of it, but also from, it was probably financial too, because I'm certain that to get it rebuilt and the time it was down and everything else, there's a financial
Time is
cost
money.
to that. And so like I'm certain that like obviously in that case it'd be very important not to essentially just delegate with full trust on things like that or anything, but
Right, there's a lot of
yeah.
money on the table for it. I'm sorry
Yeah.
to cut you off, but
No,
I
no,
should
no, please
I should
do.
give some credit to my partner Kelly, who
Yeah.
came on. We incorporated together, and
Oh.
he specializes in the finance side. So together we worked very hard to make sure that we had really good reporting in our books, that we were set up on a very solid foundation. We knew that we were going to be raising money, and he was really laser focused on doing that in the same way I'm laser focused in building this. So we're very lucky that we were able to close our pre-seed funding round, and we raised $500,000.
Nice.
So
Yes.
without that, we wouldn't have been able to continue to work and continue to work and continue to work, and we just fixed the mistakes.
Well, you need
And-
operational costs, like obviously, right? It's
Absolutely.
yeah, everything has a
And-
cost.
And it got more expensive and more expensive, and that's why I feel like I'm leading this great big train, and it's an expensive train, and it's going, but it's a money machine, right? We've got to keep feeding into it, and
Yeah.
so it's going to take a
Yeah,
little
keep
while
feeding the
until we
furnace,
get off
keep
the ground.
putting coal in the furnace, and that's why, like Curtis and I, we essentially have like a democratic partnership. We both basically like we fully discuss all of our ideas like unanimously, and like we both have like we like to have it like 100% because we started it together. Like I'm sure you started your
Right.
own. You started High B&B. You were on your own. Kelly started and you incorporated together, which is fantastic because incorporating is a great way to grow as a business. And I'm sure that his financial and like the push behind you, it's like you were saying, he's feeding the furnace, and you're
I have
like,
to say it was my business first.
it was yours
I have
first.
my own
No, I gotta
company
say
too,
it was
so I
Elizabeth's first.
transferred the IP over. So
Yeah.
it's a bit of a
Well, let's
touchy
just-
subject for me
yeah.
because it's
No, I
mine.
get it.
It's my
No, I
vision, and I
agree.
don't like
It
to
is
say it's not
Elizabeth's
mine.
vision. No, it is Elizabeth's vision. And this high B&B is 100 fits for everybody listening out there. High B&B is Elizabeth
But he
Becker.
brought in $500,000.
But this man is very important as a partner. He works with you. But like Curtis and I, like we started from day one, like unanimously together. So like I find that it's working for us. Like we haven't grown massively yet. We literally are a team of 2 plus Isaac helps us a lot. Like I'd say team of 3 because he does help substantially. I mean he so like we're a team of 3 dudes. And but like as as we grow, like we do have structure. Like we know some base. You need to have that base structure. Like Curtis does. He's like the chief financial officer essentially because we are technically a corporation, I guess, because we're international. I don't know. But either way, he's like our financial dude. He handles all that because I'm not phenomenal with math. But but we both handle media, everything else, like that kind of thing, like front facing stuff. And so you're mostly the front facing, I assume. Like you most of the interviews, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Very nice.
And it's
Fantastic.
great. We need more women in industry, like in business, because like I see a lot of cannabis. Actually, that's a great thing because we spoke with Tamara Lillian last week. She's a powerful woman in the cannabis industry. Now,
She's our expert on
I was
Ask
gonna
Our
say
Expert.
you know her. I was gonna say you. I was gonna say I believe you know her. How did you meet Tamara?
You
Because
guys
she's
should
awesome.
show a clip. You should show the opening to the show. It's really cool because we did these illustrations. But
It's amazing.
it's a small.
Okay, if
industry.
we have your permission to do that, we can cut
Yeah.
we'll cut a little segment of the beginning clip there and pop that in there for
Yeah, and this
Right,
week
hold on,
he
right.
answers the question like, what's the right amount of dosage for a gummy?
yeah.
Oh yes.
It's
Always
fantastic.
a
Yeah, because
solid question. No.
yeah, I don't do too many edibles, but I know it's but it is like I know it is an iffy question. A lot of people don't know, and education. Tamara taught us actually so much when she spoke with us last week, and it's phenomenal. Like actually, just as much as you've taught us, right? And it's wonderful to see because she spoke heavily on that as well. Is that like there are a lot of women in the cannabis industry right now, and that it's really like you can tell that like people are coming out and it's like they're loud and they don't give a crap who like has anything negative to say about it. And I could not be more proud of like humans as like a species for all the people that are standing up behind these industries going fuck yeah, like let's do it. Let's
Absolutely.
boost these people and like help them grow and like help any industry, any business, especially in cannabis. Doesn't matter whether it's a male or female led company or whatever, but it's good to see women getting more of a voice in a corporate setting because you don't see that a lot. It's more Patrick Bateman's.
Yeah, it's still a fight though.
Oh, I'm
It's still a
sure.
fight.
I'm sure. And like, have you faced any like personal
caught.
battles with like meetings or anything like that, where you've had issues like with the industry pushback? Like, I mean, not anything too like you don't need to go too dark with it or anything, but I mean, just anything where like maybe you felt slighted or something.
Well, it's just a matter of being taken with legitimacy. Like, so they'll just write you off, right? So getting people to return my calls or my emails and getting them to take me seriously without any traffic on the site. And in the early days, nobody wanted to get involved. And so that's been a bit of a slog. But what pushback were you referring to? Like,
Well, I
in your
mean, like if
mind?
anybody like, because I know that a lot of the time, in like a lot of traditionally male-dominated industries and stuff like that, like it's mostly what you're talking about, that they don't take you seriously. They don't legitimize you as a business person when you call them or approach them or anything else. They may be dismissive of your business simply because they're like they see you as a woman. They're like, oh well, like boys club, blah blah blah, that kind of thing, where they essentially don't necessarily
Misogynistic bullshit.
bullshit, and so like they don't take you legitimately as a business person, and like as people, like legitimacy is important when you're growing, because if you're looking for investors, I know that I was in one of the other essentially one of the other interviews that you had done. I read that you read some books that gave you information about how to approach entrepreneurs and how to approach other investors and speak to them to learn more of that skill set. which is actually, I'm going to look into the book that you suggested. I'm going to have to look up, unless you want to suggest it to our audience, the book that you read for entrepreneurship to help you.
Yeah, it's not the hard things. The hard thing about hard things. It was the other one about finance, right? What's
It
that?
was
What's it
indeed.
called?
Here, one moment. Let's see if I
Remind
can-
me the title because I can't recall it.
Yeah, I'll see if. Just give me a moment here. Just give me a moment here.
It's an important read. It's important to be literate in the finance world because there are certain words that if you don't know the meaning of, you won't be able to engage in the conversation.
Yeah, and I know that like it's one of those things where um speaking with investors, Curtis and I probably wouldn't be very functional at that. We don't have like I mean we still, slip up, we'd say marijuana, we don't refer to it like we don't have the numbers. I watch a lot of Dragon's Den. Have you been on
I've
Dragon's
watched-
Den?
Yeah,
Or Shark
I
Tank?
think it's called Investor Deals. Is that what it's called? Investor Deals?
It's
By
like
Brad
some
Feld?
yeah, something. Is that the new show? I don't remember. I can't like. But
There's
have you?
Dragon
Have
Den
you?
and Shark
Because I remember
Tank.
Dragon's Den.
Okay,
No,
so
I think yeah,
I've
there's
watched
something.
every Shark Tank. I've watched them all. We actually pitched
Have
on
you been? Have you
Dragon's
met Kevin
Den.
O'Leary?
No.
I would want to like play his head
But
like
you
a
did
bongo.
pitch. But you did pitch on Dragon's Den.
Well, we pitched like on the audition, and then they called us and asked us to help them audition a new dragon. So Kelly and I went in with our like high B&B logos on our clothes and did the whole pitch.
Oh wow!
And we
it's-
did it.
oh.
We did it to 2 panels. And we met one of the potential dragons. We didn't make a deal there, but again, it was just auditions for them.
Yeah,
So we made.
Because I know they
still
have several
pitch on
stages,
the
right?
show. Yeah.
If
So
you
we made a
guys-
great relationship.
I swear, if you are on that show, if they call you back someday and they're like, "Hey Elizabeth, it's so and so from Dragon's Den here calling. Would you like to come on the show?" Be like, "Yeah." It's like I'm gonna have you on Instagram. I wholeheartedly expect you to at me and like at us and say,
Okay.
"We're gonna be on the show." I will. I don't watch cable television, but I will find a way to watch it the night it airs. Like I'll be there. Like
And in
Thank
order
you.
for that to happen, everybody here needs to go and like High B&B, subscribe to them on YouTube, like all their stuff, check them out. And unfortunately, we are getting a little low on time here, so I think we're gonna take one more quick Tokski here. I have
Yeah,
my
it's
bong
okay
packed.
for me. I have my bong right here ready for
Have
me.
my
That's a good
tangerine
idea.
dream.
That tangerine
Alright.
dream vape. I gotta get my hands on some of that. That'd be fantastic. Sounds beautiful.
For sure. And with that, everybody at home, grab your joints, your bongs, your bowls, but no lighters because that's bad for you.
Yeah, use
Vape,
that.
get your edibles, whatever you got, blaze it. Tokshkabouk.
Smoke. All right, bud. So yeah, once again, like we said, I would like to very much once again thank Elizabeth Becker of High B&B for being here with us today. And
Elizabeth,
all
for
of
the
our
next
questions.
for the next 30 seconds, or not even 30 seconds, as long as you need,
as long
go
as
ahead
you
and plug whatever it is you would like to plug. for our
Anything you want people to know about.
I'm not good on the
No,
spot. I like to
shameless
interrupt
plug.
people.
No, shameless plug. This is literally the best time of the podcast. You are allowed to shamelessly plug anything that you want to plug. Does not matter. Even if there's a local restaurant near you want to talk about, go ahead.
Okay, well, I want to plug High B&B. I put my heart and soul into building this, and I wanted to share it with everybody. And I think that it can. You guys got me so stoned. That's not fair.
Yes.
we're used to operating like this. That's all right. So IB&B, her heart and soul is in this business. We are gonna have so many links.
Let's say it's a highbnb.ca. That's important. HIBNB.ca. Check it out. Like, look at some of those listings. They're cool.
We will have the links in the description. And as she said before, you can also check them out on YouTube at Experience High BNB. Again, that's Experience HIBNB. I'll take care of that one for you.
Absolutely. And we'll have like all the YouTube, we'll have the Instagram. Like, we are going to have all the links down below for Elizabeth and High B&B, and you got to check it out. So follow her while you're there. Let her know that you buds are interested in what she's doing, because we sure as heck are.
Send me a note. I work so hard, and I'm what I really miss is talking to people, and especially getting feedback.
Absolutely.
So say hello.
Absolutely. And you know what, Elizabeth? Hopefully this isn't the last time we have you on. We like to let our guests know that they are always welcome to come back in future episodes, and we would love to have you back.
We would love to have you
Thank
back,
you.
talk with you more, and even if not even for the podcast, if you just want to call us back on Zoom and smoke with us, we're down with that too.
Okay. I
We're
love
always,
that.
we're always happy for a digital smoke sesh. It's the way to go nowadays, right? It's the safest
Yeah,
way
it
to
is.
distance.
Absolutely. And with all that being said, buds, we're going to roll one for the road, and we will see you next week on the Good Buds podcast.
That's right. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, share this with all of your friends on every service you can possibly think of. Check out our sponsors, Lumenspot and My High Shop, in the comments down below. And thanks again, buds. Later.
Later.
Bye.